Charles Timothy Brooks. Charles Timothy Brooks, June 20, 1813 – June 14, 1883, was a noted American translator of German works, a poet, a transcendentalist, and a Unitarian pastor. Biography. Charles Timothy Brooks was born in Salem, Massachusetts on June 20, 1813. He graduated at Harvard in 1832, then studied theology, and in 1835 began to preach in Nahant, Massachusetts. He married Harriet Lyman Hazard in October 1837, and they had 4 children. He served as a preacher in various New England towns until he became pastor of the Unitarian Church in Newport, Rhode Island on June 4, 1837, where he remained until his death on June 14, 1883. In addition to his translations, he published theological writings, contributed to the Dial, a transcendentalist publication, and wrote a biography of William Ellery Channing, another Unitarian minister in Newport, Rhode Island. William Ellery Channing, A Centennial Memory, 1880. Works. German translations into English. Schiller's William Tell Providence, 1838. Songs and ballads from the German, forming one volume of Georged Ripley's Specimens of Foreign Standard Literature, Boston, 1842. Schiller's Homage of the Arts, Boston, 1847. Tuded, New York, 1870. German Lyrics, Boston, 1853. Goeth's Faust in the Original Meters, 1856. Life, Opinions, Actions, and Fate of Hieronymus Jobs, The Candidate, a satirical poem, popular in Germany, Philadelphia, 1863. Richter's Titan, The Invisible Lodge, and Hesperus, 1865. Scheffer's Layman's Breviary, 1867, and World Priest, 1873. Ruckert's Wisdom of the Brahmin, Boston, 1882. Several children's books. Poetry. Aquidneck, a poem delivered at the 100th anniversary of the Redwood Library, Newport, 1848. Songs of Field and Flood, a volume of poems, Boston, 1854. Numerous occasional verses. A collection of his poems, original and translated, with a memoir by Charles W. Went, was published in Boston after his death. Other works. The controversy touching the old stone mill, opposing the theory that it was built by the Northmen, Newport, 1851. William Ellery Channing, A Centennial Memory, Boston, 1880. A volume of sermons according to Appleton's Encyclopedia. Several of Brooks' works were unpublished years after his death. Among his unpublished translations are Schiller's Mary Stuart and Joan of Arc, 1840, the autobiography of Klaus Harms, Richter's Selina Grillparzer's on Frau Immermann's Der letzte Tulifant, and Hans Sachs's play, The Unlike Children of Eve, first acted in 1553. In 1853, after a voyage to India for his health, Mr. Brooks wrote a narrative titled 8 Months on the Ocean and 8 Weeks in India, which is also still in manuscript.